The town held its breath. Fear was a current running beneath the surface of every smile, every greeting. I knew it as a child, felt it in the pit of my stomach, cold and sharp. They told stories, hushed and urgent in the spaces between streetlights, stories of the Crowman. They said he watched from the shadows, a spectre cloaked in feathers and fear. That his eyes, black and gleaming, could steal your soul. Children whispered warnings in the schoolyard, their faces pale and serious. Don't stay out too late. Don't let him see you. I never believed them, not really. They were just stories meant to frighten us, just silly campfire tales. But still, I walked a little faster when the sun began to set. And sometimes, when the wind howled through the trees, I imagined I heard the rustle of feathers, the whisper of his name. The Crowman. The first sign was subtle, easily dismissed. A series of scratches on the roof, right above my bedroom. They sounded every night like claws dragging across shingles, each scrape of fingernails on a chalkboard. I told myself it was squirrels, a raccoon maybe, but the sound persisted night after night, growing louder, more insistent. Sleep became a distant dream, replaced by a gnawing unease. My rational mind offered explanations, loose branches, the wind, an overactive imagination, but deep down a primal fear began to stir. One particularly windy night, the scratching intensified, morphing into a rhythmic thumping. I lay in bed, heart pounding, every nerve ending on high alert. The sound seemed to be coming from right above me, as if something was trying to claw its way in. That was the night I first started checking the locks, twice, 3 times. Before finally surrendering to a fitful, uneasy sleep. The scratches became a constant companion, a chilling reminder that I might not be alone. The crows arrived gradually, their numbers swelling with each passing day. They perched on the telephone wires, dark silhouettes against the setting sun, their caws a discordant chorus. They were everywhere, their black eyes watching my every move. I started seeing them in my dreams, swirling around me, their beaks sharp and menacing. I'd wake up in a cold sweat, the sound of their cawing still ringing in my ears. One day, walking home, I looked up to see a massive flock of crows circling overhead. The sun vanished behind their wings, plunging the world into an unnatural twilight. Their cawing intensified, deafening, overwhelming. I broke into a run, my heart hammering in my chest. The crows followed, their shadows keeping pace. I could feel their eyes on me, cold and predatory. They were something more, something sinister. Section 5. Tales from the Past. The library was my sanctuary, a place of solace and quiet contemplation. But today the silence seemed to press in on me, suffocating me. I had come seeking answers, hoping to find something, anything that could explain the horrors that plagued my nights. The librarian, a kindly old woman with eyes that held a lifetime of stories, led me to the restricted section. Dust motes danced in the shaft of light that pierced the gloom as she pulled out a heavy leather-bound volume. "The town's archives," she whispered, her voice raspy with age. "Be careful what you seek, child. Some secrets are best left buried." The book was filled with faded ink and yellowed pages, its contents a chilling chronicle of the town's dark history. And there, amidst the tales of misfortune and madness, I found it, the legend of the Crowman. He wasn't just a story, not some boogeyman parents used to frighten their children. He was real. Section 7. The Truth in the Attic. The attic had always been forbidden territory, a place of dust and shadows where childhood fears took root and flourished. But now, compelled by a force I couldn't explain, I found myself drawn to its darkened doorway. The air was thick with the smell of decay, the only light filtering through cracks in the boarded-up windows. I stepped inside, my heart pounding in my chest, each creak of the floorboards echoing like a scream in the stillness. And then I saw it, a small wooden chest tucked away in the corner, its surface scratched and worn. As I knelt down to examine it, a cold wind seemed to sweep through the attic, stirring the dust motes into a frenzy. I knew with a certainty that defied logic that this chest held the key to the mystery that haunted my family, the truth about the Crowman. The lock yielded with a groan, revealing a collection of yellowed letters and a small leather-bound journal. As I began to read, a sense of dread washed over me. The journal belonged to my great-great-grandmother, telling a tale of obsession and a pact with a malevolent entity. The Crowman was no mere legend, he haunted our family for generations. Suddenly, the air grew heavy, the temperature plummeting. The shadows twisted into a familiar shape. I looked up, my blood turning to ice. The Crowman stood before me, his eyes blazing with an unholy light. Terror, raw and primal, seized me. I scrambled back, my mind reeling as the truth of his words sank in. I was trapped, ensnared in a web of darkness spun generations ago. He advanced, his movements slow and deliberate, like a predator toying with its prey. The air crackled with a malevolent energy, pressing down on me, stealing my breath. His eyes, those bottomless pits of darkness, held me captive, reflecting my own terror back at me. "You will serve me," he rasped, his voice a chorus of whispers that seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves. "You will be my eyes and ears in this world, my instrument of vengeance." I shook my head, tears streaming down my face. But my voice failed me. I was paralyzed with fear, unable to move, unable to breathe. He was closer now, his fetid breath hot on my skin, the stench of decay filling my nostrils. With a swift, fluid motion, he lunged. His claws ripped through the air, missing me by a hair's breadth. I scrambled back, scrambling to my feet, my heart thudding against my ribs like a drum. I had to get out of there. I had to escape. But the attic door, once ajar, was now slammed shut, the handle rattling as if someone was trying to force their way in. He was everywhere, his presence suffocating, inescapable. I stumbled back, my hand connecting with something cold and hard, the wooden chest. Desperation surged through me. It was my only hope. I grabbed the lid and flung it open, hurling its contents at him, a desperate barrage of old letters and faded photographs. For a moment he hesitated, his eyes narrowed in surprise. It was all the time I needed. I scrambled to my feet and bolted for the door, throwing my weight against it. It burst open, sending me tumbling into the hallway beyond. I didn't stop running, not until I reached the sanctuary of my bedroom, slamming the door shut behind me and bolting it. I leaned against the wood, my chest heaving, my mind a chaotic jumble of terror and disbelief. The scratching on the roof had stopped. The cawing of crows had faded into an eerie silence, but I knew, with a certainty that chilled me to the bone, that it wasn't over. He was still out there, lurking in the shadows, his gaze fixed on me. He would be back. And next time, I might not be so lucky. I looked out the window into the darkness beyond. The moon was hidden behind a veil of clouds, casting the world in an unsettling gloom. And then, for the briefest of moments, I saw it. A flicker of movement in the shadows across the street, a tall, gaunt silhouette, its eyes glowing with an unholy light. The Crowman was watching, and he would be watching, always watching, until the day he finally claimed what he believed was rightfully his, my soul, my